We should probably do some sort of introduction. So like, hi everybody, I'm Patricia.
I'm Lee.
And we're weird as fuck.
Yeah, I suppose you probably should, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Because someday we might be famous. Okay. So. Okay, are we recording?
Looks like it.
Is it? I don't see squigglies. It makes me nervous.
Maybe it's really super
I've got to
slow.
zoom in.
There's the squigglies.
I get nervous when there's no squigglies. Alrighty. Halloween.
Scary stories.
Well, let's see. Halloween is Saturday.
Yep. It's going to be a bummer this year.
It is. That makes me
'Cause
sad.
I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be handing out candy because they're afraid of getting COVID.
Or giving COVID. I'm
Yeah.
exposed to so many people that I'm afraid to, get close to somebody's child.
Yeah, I was thinking we'd just put a bowl out.
The last time we did that, teenagers took the whole bowl.
Yeah. Because
And that really bummed me out.
teenagers are dicks.
Well, not all
of them
teenagers.
are.
Let's be realistic. We were kind of dicks when we were teenagers too.
Yes, I definitely had my moments.
Yeah, I know I did. So yeah, I saw this one great YouTube video where they did a zip line with he had a fishing pole that had an automatic reel. So you flip a switch and it reels itself back in. And so he had a zip line with a little basket. And the basket had the candies in it. So it ran down the zip line and then he used the fishing rod to reel it back. So you could just hand out candy like that. And they had, for one of the parents, they put a beer in it. It was pretty funny. But I thought about doing something like that. But, we tend not to get a lot of candy anyway, just because Brian would get into it.
Yeah, but he does anyway. So
Well, that's why I limit the amount of candy that we have in the house. Just a little bit. The kid is wafer thin.
know,
He
he's
does
too
need some
skinny.
calories. We just have to be careful. But yeah. Well, we can't do candies or anything, bad for us like that. So I thought we would do ghosty stories instead.
Okie dokie.
Ghosty stories. It does strike me as kind of weird, though, that the emphasis on Halloween is, do it for the kids. It's a children's holiday. It's really not.
There's people that spend thousands of dollars on their costumes to go to a bar and say, "Look at me."
Get wasted. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the origins of Samhain are not child friendly at all.
No, they never are.
They never have been. No.
But then, yet they make them into children's stuff anyway.
Yeah, because we like to Disneyfy everything. And in the case of Halloween, literally Disneyfy.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We're here to tell ghost stories. So do you want to start with your ghost story, or do you want me to start with the ghost stories that we have from others?
Oh, I guess we can do ours first.
You do yours first?
My first encounter was when I was a little wee one in Rufus, Oregon, out in the middle of nowhere,
Literally.
where my dad worked for the power company out there. So we had a little 2-story, beautiful house. It was nice. Boring as hell for a little kid. Thank God I had a dog, or I'd probably gone nuts. But my room had a ghost in it, apparently. And almost every day, I would have a little light, just a little round orb, or whatever you want to call it, come out of my closet, go across the ceiling, stop over my head, sit there for a little bit, and go back in the closet. That happened many, 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 many times. Never scared me. And then I was too little to read at the time, and it put out these great big huge newspapers that were you could see through them, but you could see the words, you could see the pictures. I was too young to remember what the heck they were. I wish I could read, and I wish I could remember what they were, because obviously the ghost was trying to tell me something, but I was too little, and I didn't know how to read. And I never did tell my parents, because I thought they would think I was a little psycho or something, so I was too afraid to tell them, so they never saw it. They never knew about it.
Did they look like modern newspapers where they're like pictures?
Yeah. And it had, and it was massive. It was across the whole room that there were newspapers and pictures and headlines and everything.
And we're old, so just, for the audience's frame of reference, we're ancient. This was before people had projectors necessarily in their pockets. It would have been
in the 70s.
Yeah.
Something around there, because I wasn't even in kindergarten. Well, I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, so it would have been the early 70s.
But, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so...
Never scared me. I don't know if you want to do the ones on our house.
Well, I want to do the camera, because we did promise early on that we were going to tell about the camera. So we live in a house that was built in 1973 in a suburban neighborhood. So this is not like an ancient Victorian that has loads of history. In fact, I looked it up, and there are no reported deaths or incidents in this house. But who knows what happened on the land before white people decided this would make a good suburban neighborhood. But it's just a random run-of-the-mill 1970s house. And it's a split level. So the main part of the house is upstairs, and then downstairs we have a family room and a bathroom and storage spaces, and very comfortable, not a creepy place. Although the kids hated playing downstairs when they were little because they swore there was a bearded man in the bathroom. And we had a lot of kids because I ran a daycare when the boys were little. And over the years, we had probably 24 kids in and out of the house and telling us the same thing, that there was a bearded man in the bathroom and it was creepy and they didn't want to go there. And one time when, and it was unfortunate because that was our playroom is downstairs because of the sound deadening and it reduces the amount of damage to the rest of the house. But so we're downstairs in the playroom, and the kids it was winter time in the Pacific Northwest. We'd been stuck inside for way too long, and they had so much energy. So we came downstairs, and they were just going bug nuts, running in circles and screaming. And I was letting them at it because they really needed to get that energy out in a constructive way. And we had played every game that I had in my toolbox, and we just decided free play it was. We went nuts. And I had to step into the bathroom to wash my hands. And our bathroom, now it's down the hall at the end of the hall. I can still see the playroom from there. But we had a pipe burst before we bought the house. And that's one of the doors that we still haven't replaced. It was ever so slightly warped from water damage. So it swings open on its own all the time. It won't swing closed on its own because of the way that it's warped. But on this particular day, the kids are just going absolutely insane. And the door swings closed. And I opened it. And it swung closed again. And I opened it. And it swung closed for a third time. And I turned around and I looked at the door and I said, I know they're annoying, but I have to be able to hear them. And the door swung open and stayed open. Which I thought was really interesting. Apparently, our ghost dislikes small children. But the most, for us, the absolutely most proof positive evidence that we had that our house is haunted was the camera. So in that same playroom, because of that incident and incidents like it, we decided we wanted to try to capture video of whatever was downstairs. So you bought a trail camera.
I bought 3 for hunting, and I thought, hey, let's put one downstairs so we can catch that little guy and see if anything would happen.
And for reference, these are motion activated cameras, and it's enclosed in a steel case. It's a bear-proof case. because they do get curious and they do try to gnaw on things. And it's roughly the size of a shoebox. They're quite large.
I actually had a bear claw at one.
Yeah. I remember.
I had pictures of him.
The pictures of him.
My game camera.
So, I mean, they're very large and they're built to be quite sturdy. And that's important to keep in mind that this thing was literally the size of a shoebox. It's quite big.
Yeah, now they're teeny.
Well, even then, though, the ones that you get that are the bear-proof cases are still pretty decent sized.
Yeah.
But, you know, this was one of the larger ones, and it was powered by those huge flashlight batteries. So it was big and it was heavy. And we put it downstairs and turned it on. And we didn't catch anything, just, you know, lights of people driving down the street would set it off. And
totally bummed.
Really bummed out. We were hoping for something spectacular, but nothing came of it. So you took it out of the playroom, took the batteries out, and put it back in its box and put it on the shelf in our closet because you were going to need it for hunting season.
Yep.
And when hunting season rolled around, you opened the box, and what did you find?
It was gone.
It was gone. And our kids were really little at the time, so they couldn't have gotten in there. During daycare, we kept our bedroom door locked to keep the kids from wandering in. And because, you know, we're a married couple, there are things that small children should not be playing with in our room. And we want to keep them out of that. So we kept the door locked. So there was no chance that any of the kids or one of their parents had wandered in and taken it. So we searched the house. We looked everywhere. We tore the house apart.
We tore it everywhere. I mean,
and
we looked and looked
and looked. And you finally, because you needed the camera in order to scout where you were hunting. So we went and we bought another one, which we really couldn't have afforded at the time, but we decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. You bought another one, put the cameras out, scouted your area, went hunting, came back. A full year passes and you go out and you go hunting again. Now, in our bedroom is a filing cabinet where we keep things that the children can't play with. So things that we don't want them to get their hands on. And it's a 2-drawer filing cabinet, and both of the drawers of that filing cabinet are full. They've got, you know, like wedding videos, stuff from the kids, things like that. Just things that you don't want your small children to play with. I think one of them has ammunition in it too, but
yeah, now we have a safe.
Yeah, now we have a safe. So these are completely full. And before you went hunting, you'd actually gotten into the top drawer and taken something out and locked the cabinet back up again, locked the drawers back up again, and went on your merry little way. And you called me from the hunting camp and asked me to look in the drawer and get something out for you because the kids and I were coming up that weekend to visit and to stay with you at hunting camp. And when I opened the top drawer, there was the hunting camera, the game camera on top. The shoebox size hunting camera that was filling up the entire empty space in that drawer.
Except for that
the
thing
vacant
I
space.
took out to take hunting.
Right.
Then there was room in there for it.
Well, right, because
And
before you
it was there.
before you took your stuff out of that top drawer, the drawer was completely full.
Yeah, and I took that out, which gave enough room for the
game camera
to be in there, but I never put it in there.
Right. Well, and the point is,
and that's what's so weird.
You would have noticed this massive camera in your space. The stuff that you took out of the drawer couldn't have fit in the drawer with the camera in it.
Yep.
Something put it in there. And again, it couldn't have been the kids because our bedroom door was locked and the cabinet was locked.
There was no doubt that something was fucking with me for putting the camera down there. I pissed it off, I guess.
That was proof positive for me. That and because you have allergies and you have such bad allergies that you have to sleep kind of propped up. We have like a split bed. So we sleep together, but we don't sleep together. We have separate beds. And every time you sleep by yourself, something jumps up and down on the bed.
That was when we had a king bed. It was a bed, but I just slept sitting up. So the whole bed shook when it would shake the bed whenever you were in the bed.
But only when I'm not in the bed.
Only when we're in bed.
So it likes me better than you.
Then I get pissed off and I tell it to knock the fuck off, stop it, and it would stop. So, yeah, it's weird. And that never scared me. It just annoyed me because it would like wait till I'm asleep and then it would start fucking shaking the bed.
I think it's my grandma.
Just like somebody with two hands standing up, pushing on the bed. That's exactly what it felt like. But we never got scared because it never was violent with us. So
no.
But after the daycare shut down, hardly anything happens anymore. But,
well, some paranormal investigators speculate that it's the energy of young people that feeds the paranormal.
which we had a shitload of that in the house at the time.
Much of that.
Then we had the crying baby, which we had multiple people hear it in our closet. You could stand in front of the closet and hear it absolutely clear, a baby crying.
Yep.
Like it was in the closet, not outside, not in the adjacent bedroom, nothing. It was right in the closet. Open up the closet, nothing's there. It would stop. And we've actually had people from the daycare show up and say, I heard a crying baby in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's not.
Yeah, we actually had one mom go looking because she thought we'd left a child in the house and she was worried.
and there was nothing there.
And we just had to tell her, oh, yeah, I know that happens all the time. And none of our neighbors had small children at the time.
Nope, nobody.
And she refused to come back in the house after that. That was pretty funny.
Imagine that.
So
that was a definite one. There was no doubt that it sounded like a baby crying, which makes you wonder why we had a baby crying. It was, it made you think, what was it trying to tell us? That they had a baby die or
somebody abused a child,
or they lost their baby,
or is it just an impression? I have so many theories on what causes paranormal sights and sounds. I would like to cover that on a different episode because my theories are echoed, I think, in other paranormal investigators. But I really think that it's a potential impression that's left behind when you have really strong emotion, that maybe it just leaves an imprint. Or if you believe the multi-universe theory, that we're living in parallel with other worlds. And this is something that's echoed through physics. It's not just, people who believe in the paranormal, but physicists believe that it's possible that we live in tandem with other universes. And maybe those things that we see out of the corner of our eye, or the sounds that we hear that we can't really explain, are just thin spots where things are leaking through. But
yeah, what about the game camera?
No, that was just fucked up.
That one's just fucking weird.
That was just fucking weird. That was weird as fuck.
Yeah, weird as fuck.
But those are our stories. Do you want to hear some other people's stories?
Sure.
I picked a couple that I think you're going to really enjoy. So this one is from Ashland, Oregon. And I picked a couple from Oregon because that's where we're from. And it's a total abuse of power, I know, but I like them. So this one's from Ashland, Oregon. And this is written by Fanfer860. And it was submitted to an online forum. And he writes, a bit of background. I grew up in a very haunted house, occupied mostly by benevolent spirits. So contact with spirits isn't new to me. My faith has also led me to working lightly with spirits, so this experience it wasn't startling or creepy. My wife and I recently took a weekend trip to Ashland, Oregon to get away from the stress of life. We were staying in a recently renovated hotel in an area that has a history of paranormal activity, though none has been reported at this hotel. It's a chain, so that's expected. I woke up at approximately 3:30 a.m., and there's a trend you may notice as we go through some ghost stories now and in the future. 3 a.m. Midnight isn't the witching hour. It's 3 a.m. Keep that in mind. That's why we can't sleep. and I'm feeling extremely warm despite sleeping next to the AC, which is set at 62 degrees. I figured I was just dehydrated as I've been having hydration issues lately, mostly due to stress from work. I rolled onto my back to grab my water cup, and I felt cool hair in my face. I knew it wasn't my wife's hair, as her shampoo has a certain scent, and how she was laying wouldn't allow her face to cover my face. I drank my water and rolled back over to fall asleep again. So apparently he's just letting that go. Okay, hair in my face, whatever.
Okay, whatever.
The next thing I know, I feel a weight behind me over the blanket and sheets. I feel tingling on my leg, which slowly moved up and down. I figured this to be my back issues acting up, and so I shrugged it off. Shortly after, I felt the weight on the blanket press harder. My back and stomach got cold, and I felt the hair on my back again. Again, I was cuddling my wife, so her hair couldn't have been on my back. After about an hour, the weight lifted from the bed, and my body temp balanced out again. Typically, I'd assume I had an episode of sleep paralysis, but I was able to move as I wished and didn't suffer from any auditory or visual hallucinations. After the experience, and once I woke, I felt a new light in myself, and my stress seemed to melt away. It was the most pleasant paranormal experience I've ever had, but I was sure to instruct the spirit not to follow me, just in case. I moved my security camera to a point in my house rather than on the outside. If the spirit didn't listen to my instructions to remain at the hotel, I'll be sure to post the videos online. I couldn't find any, so he was apparently groped by a ghost. Enjoyed the experience.
Spooned by a ghost. That's what it sounds like.
And was completely unbothered by the experience.
Yeah,
and
just, whatever. For an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I'd have been up with the lights on looking for things. He's like, yeah, whatever. Roll over and go to sleep. People are weird. I'd have noticed. I'd have reacted.
Yeah, that would have been something to get out of bed for.
Yeah. So this one was on Reddit, and it's by Quiet Voice 4846. And this one creeped me out because I've experienced something very similar to this, and I hate it. Late at night, I usually go to the bathroom multiple times, but for the past 4 days, every time I go to leave, I can see myself standing in the mirror from the corner of my eye. It's like the other me is watching me leave the bathroom. It terrifies me to the point where I almost run out without looking directly at the mirror. I never told my husband about it because I didn't want to acknowledge it out loud. I hate mirrors at night.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's why. So yeah, I really, really hate mirrors at night because I see things out of the corner of my eye that I would really like to believe are just my overactive imagination and fatigue, but I don't. Yeah. Anyway, so her story continues. Earlier today, I took a nap in our bed while he sat in a chair next to it watching TV. When I woke up, he told me that he'd seen me sit up and crawl backward to the edge of the bed and stand up in front of our bedroom door from the corner of his eye. He thought it was weird that I got up like that because I'm in the last month of my pregnancy and can't really move so well without it hurting. So he tried to talk to me. When I didn't answer, he looked at the door to find me not there at all and still sleeping in bed. I got really creeped out and I finally told him about what I've been seeing in the bathroom. He thought it was creepy as well, but he didn't really want to talk about it anymore because he thinks it will give whatever it is power or energy. I have no idea what it wants or why we both saw it.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's fucking creepy is what that is. Weird as fuck. This one is about a potential shared hallucination. About a month or so ago. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Nath Bear. Nath Bear? Nath Bear? I don't know what that means. About a month or so ago, I was staying with my partner at his family's home. Not long moved into his old, bigger room, and generally, I get no bad vibes from it. For context, in case you need it, he has a shadow spirit attached to him and has done so for maybe 20-ish years. He's 24. This shadow person always sends mixed messages on whether or not he's actually hurting Crow. He just kind of vibes and can be possessive, protective around new people in Crow's life. Crow being the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Partner. One night, we happened to not get to sleep right away, which was uncommon but not unsettling or weird in any way. We just went to bed late. The room was pretty much completely dark, and we just kind of lay in bed and both seemed to be staring at the ceiling in the same place. We didn't realize that we were watching the same thing. Then Crow turned to me and said, "Did you see that?" Which I replied, "Yeah." Scintillating conversation, I know. We proceeded to watch this darker than usual shadow exist almost completely still in a normalish form in the middle of the ceiling directly above Crow. After a few minutes, the shape started to move in the same spot. It changed size while doing so. Crow then said, "It kind of looks like it's moving." He's the observant one in the relationship. At this point, we both must have been thinking we were having some differing sleep-deprived hallucinations. And then I said, "Yeah, it's like an octopus. Does it have arms?" And Crow, who was a bit thrown, since he then confirmed that we were watching the same thing. The room was dark, but the shape was darker, pitch black, like staring into a living void in the ceiling above us. When we turned the light on to see if it was a shadow reflecting off something, it wasn't. It had nothing to reflect off of. There was nothing moving in the room, and there was no light source to produce the shadow. When we sat up, it didn't move. It stayed there, moving violently in the spot and changing shape. So I'm assuming they're still watching it with the light on?
I guess.
We watched it for so long, we can't even remember how long, but we went to sleep. So again, you've got gelatinous blobs in the ceiling and ghosts spooning you, and you just decide to take a nap. Nice.
That's something over the top of me. Moving around like that, I couldn't sleep. I'd have to sleep somewhere else.
Yeah, like Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, not over the top of it.
Good God. So, this one I thought you would appreciate on a deep spiritual level. After my divorce a few years ago, I moved to Grand Forks, North Dakota, and sold dildos for the summer. This is a different one. This is from an online user named Rock On Kennedy. The store was called Romantics, and it was run by my manager, a naive 21-year-old woman, and a slightly older woman named Zofia, who was a little more cultured to the finer things in life. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but I wrote new guy on my name tag, so that's what everyone called me. I was new guy. While training me, Zofia would ask me inappropriate questions all day like, "You into blood play? Do you like pain?" She was always asking what my dick looked like. Your usual sexist sexual harassment, and so it goes. Okay, sweetie, that's not usual. It's not okay. It's not ever okay. Anyway, I'm just setting the scene. For it was a strange summer before the whole ghost thing. So apparently all of that weirdness happened, and then the ghost showed up. So I was alone in the shop at night, all alone. Probably a Thursday night when we're dead. Nobody's coming into the shop. Romantics was open till bar close, and it was maybe 10 p.m. when it started. I figure it's an old building. It's probably haunted. "Hey, if there's any ghost here, reveal yourself," I said. 10 feet away, some lingerie began to slowly but deliberately swing back and forth on the rack. Whoa.
You asked for it.
So I shouted back, "Is that all you got, you fucking pussy?" Now, we kept a cache of batteries next to the register in case the patrons wanted to see the product working before they purchased it. At that very moment, a battery exploded and shot 6 feet away from me, knocking over I'm not sure how to say this. I'm just going to try for it. A dildo-alabra? Like one of those spinning slats with dildos on each side. So, be nice to specters, because they could attack your dildos if you aren't. I told it I believed it, and that was the last I saw of it. So, yeah, apparently if you antagonize ghosts, they will mess with your sex toys.
That's interesting.
I just thought you'd like that one.
I was waiting for a dildo to go flying across the room or something.
Oh my God. Smack him in the face. Oh, that would have been too good.
That's what I was hoping for.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Or they all started turning on and doing their business, vibrating and oscillating, doing all that crap.
The lawbreaker starts spinning around. Okay. I'm so sorry.
It's the haunted dildo.
Stop. Okay, last one. So this takes place also in Oregon. And this would be on Highway 22 out by the coast where we had the fires this summer. This was before the fires, though. So this person who calls themselves Undignified Fruit.
Okay.
I'm not sure what dignified fruit looks like, but not bananas, maybe. I don't know. And they write, I feel I should preface this story with a statement that I'm usually a skeptic when it comes to paranormal stories, albeit I'm an open-minded one. I had never had an experience I would truly say was paranormal until this one. I've searched for hours on Google attempting to find a similar story from someone else and have had no luck. What really stands out for me is that there's an energy or feeling that accompanies the experience, and even remembering it still gives me this feeling and goosebumps. This is not something I normally experience, and most people that know me would probably be surprised that I would be spooked by much of anything. I'm a veteran, and I've spent years since leaving the military working in an emergency room, specializing in security, and doing other high adrenaline jobs, and I'm not prone to being creeped out. I'm hoping to find someone else who may have had a similar experience, as I feel oddly compelled to relate to someone about this. With that, here it is. A couple of months ago, I was driving with my wife down a rural highway in Oregon, returning home from a road trip to Crater Lake. We live on the coast, and the highway we were taking to get back is very curvy as it winds through the Cascade Mountain Range. It was dark as ink and probably about 11 p.m. We were driving along, and I was watching the road going about 45 miles an hour. We rounded a bend, which made me slow down, and just as we get around, my wife suddenly says, "Look out, there's a person." It takes me a second for some reason as I let off the gas, and then I notice it. Crouched near the side of this 2-lane highway on my left side. There's a person wearing what looks like gray baggy sweats or clothes and a reflective vest. This is an easy 20 miles either direction from civilization, and it's heavily wooded. Think Oregon coast forest. We've been out there. We know what it looks like.
Yeah, I've been out to Crater Lake.
In the dark.
It's
dark as hell. There are no streetlights. There's nothing to help you see in traffic. Some of those roads don't even have reflective paint on the roadway.
No, it's just a dotted line and that's it. Some of them don't even have that.
Sometimes they have the reflectors and that's it. I mean, it's dark, dark, dark. So this is easily 20 miles either direction from civilization, is heavily wooded. I begin braking, and instantly the figure stands up, faces us, and begins jogging directly at the car. It felt like electricity in the air, as when it faced us, its head flopped over to the side, like its neck was totally limp and its mouth was agape. It appeared to have gray hair, and its hands were held up to its chest. Its wrists curled. Its legs didn't seem to be working quite right as it hobbled at us. Think like severe progressed MS. And then it hit, this primal-like feeling of dread, like my subconscious knew that something wasn't right. I couldn't fully focus on it as the car was still moving, and I had to steer, but my wife was looking right at it. My first thought normally would have been to hit the brakes and see what was going on, as once again, this is literally miles and miles from town. But there was just this dread feeling in the air, and time almost seemed to slow down. At that moment, I heard my wife scream, "Don't stop, go." Instinctively, I hit the gas, and we sped up. This lady was running right at us. So apparently they've identified that they think it's female, and must have come within a foot of running into the side of our car as we sped past it. We rounded the next bend, and I looked at my wife, and she just said, "What the hell was that?" I said I should turn around. Who the hell jogs out here? What was wrong with its neck? My wife just looked at me and said, "No, don't go back. I don't know what that was." I told her I couldn't look directly at her for long as I focused on the road, but described to her what I saw, and she confirmed that she saw the same. She said when she came up to the side of the car, she was staring right at us, and my wife looked her in the eye, but they didn't have any pupils, and her expression stayed just like it was, frozen with its mouth open. We scoured news stories, and I even contacted authorities, and they advised me that no one was reported missing or hurt out in the area. I still get this strange and tense electrified feeling anytime I think about her, as does my wife. Anytime I talk about her, I'm compelled to refer to the person as it. All I know is it wasn't right. We've now coined her the floppy-headed jogger.
Floppy.
Anyone else experience something like this? So that sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
And I was glad to hear that he sped away, because either A, they saw something not natural, B, it was somebody playing a really sick prank, or C, somebody was trying to get them to pull over so they could hurt them.
Yeah.
And you hear about that, on those dark roadways where people will feign being broken down or whatever. And then
I've seen it.
You have, haven't you?
More than once.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you're out in your truck.
Yeah, I
At
spend
all
a
hours.
lot more time on the road than most people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what have you seen exactly?
Oh, right where I get off of work, I've seen people act like they're working on their car, and it's been there for multiple days, and they keep looking out, waiting for somebody to turn over. Some of that's just they're hoping to beg for more money.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've had cars that were parked on the side of the road, and I actually seen two guys in the woods back behind the car. So I know that was a setup. They were actually very shittily hidden, and a lady sitting there with the hood open, and two dudes in the woods.
So she was bait.
Yep.
That's terrifying. You want to be a good person. You want to help. I've been the broken down person on the side of the road and had people come and help me. And I'm always so appreciative of it. But
Yeah, if anything looks shitty, I don't stop. So
yeah.
I ain't gonna take a chance. So
Well, in this case, it was a floppy-headed jogger. And they believe that it's potentially something paranormal. And I would have to say, even if you're trying to set somebody up to do them harm, it's really hard to lay your head over.
nah,
Like,
yeah.
that's,
If they're trying to do that, that would make no sense if they're trying to rip you off or something. They're
Yeah.
more trying to scare you than something else. But
yeah, but even then, the wife is looking directly at it. So she's got a pretty clear view. It's within a foot of her.
yeah, she can't see any eyeballs or anything like that. That's,
Well, she said she saw eyeballs, but no pupils. Ah.
I was hoping the story would be he stopped and something weird happened to them.
No, they fled because they're smart.
Get the fuck out.
Yes. That's why I never understand when you see these scary movies. And I suppose there wouldn't be a movie if they didn't do something stupid to get themselves into trouble to make a story out of. But
Oh, it's stupid.
you always see these people who they stop for things like, we need to investigate. No, you don't. You need to go. Run away. Yeah. That's my philosophy. Be rude. Run away. We have cell phones. I'll call 911 when I get back into town. And they did. They called authorities. They said, hey, we saw something weird. There could be somebody down there. Go ask questions.
With a broken neck flopping around running.
There's a floppy-headed jogger over there. Highway 22. They'd be easy to find now that the whole forest burned up.
Yep.
So, happy Halloween. Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
Oh, God, yes.
Our ghostie's nice.
Takes a lot of shit to scare me.
It does. Although you've gotten spooked in the woods.
Oh, yeah. Got some weird shit go out in the woods.
That is a story we should tell at another time.
That's just shit trying to eat my ass. When you're cutting up an elk in the middle of the night and you're hearing this popping and crackling up behind you, then yeah, that was enough for me to stop cleaning the elk and say the hell with it and go sleep in the Jeep instead of getting eaten by a mountain lion.
That seems wise.
Yeah. So I had a cliff right over my back up above me.
So you were...
There was this
perfect
situation to get eaten. So I go, I'll guess I'll come back and part of my elk will be gone.
How much of it was gone?
Nothing.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I figured for sure that I'd have a hind quarter gone or something by then, but nothing. But boy, there were some noises around me a lot. And I was like, yeah, fuck this.
A lot of curious
Cut out.
I'm probably going to have to edit this part out. A lot of people don't like to hear the story.
I don't care.
Disemboweling creatures.
They're tasty.
Yes, we know. We are omnivores. So did you like those stories?
Yep. They're good.
There's another one that I think I will tell you at another time. A lot of other podcasts have done it, but I think it's a really good story. Actually, I could just tell it to you now. I don't have the details memorized, but there was a young newlywed who got sick and passed away. She was real young, like in her early 20s. And everyone mourned. Everyone was very sad. And then her mother started having these recurring dreams of her daughter coming to her and saying, I wasn't ill. I was murdered. My husband did it. My husband did it. And the dreams were so pervasive and so vivid that the mother went to the authorities and persisted in getting them to exhume the body, which they did to humor her because, you know, this was a couple of 100 years ago. People were more superstitious. And also this woman must have just been like raging at them to get them to do this. But they exhumed the daughter's body and they were able to confirm that she was in fact murdered. And the husband was tried and convicted for the murder. It's the only time in American history that a ghost is documented to have solved their own murder.
I always wonder why there isn't more of those. If there is, you know, ghosts and spirits out there, you'd think that they would tell their loved ones that I was murdered and this is who did it and this is how it happened.
Well, you know, I have theories. I have theories about everything. I've thought about these things. This is what I do when I'm supposed to be working. Shh, Rob, don't listen to this part. Don't tell my boss. No, seriously though, if there is life beyond death, I think that there's a lot of factors that go into our existence beyond this one. And I think most of us, once we're divorced from the pain and suffering of this world, are probably just fine with that. So much of what afflicts us in this life is physical. Once you're released from that, you probably don't care much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading a statistic today that said that there's been something like 108 billion people. Somebody did the math. 108 billion people since there were people, Homo sapien sapien, us. And 93% of those people are now dead. So you would imagine if everybody who died had an agenda that they needed to resolve, we would be up to our butts in Ghost. Seriously, you wouldn't be able to walk through a room without walking through 50 relatives.
Yeah.
So most people, I think, just move on.
Don't give a fuck.
Exactly. But some people, like this young woman, have an axe to grind for good reason.
Yep.
Her husband murdered her and needed to suffer. Pretty sure they hanged him.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, you thought your ex-wife was angry.
She was psycho.
No. She was young. She had issues.
Yeah, we both had a lot of growing up to do.
But, yeah. So, this has gone on for way too long. I'm going to have to do some editing. But there you go. Ghosty stories. Ooh.
So like us and follow us. And we'll give you more stuff.
That didn't sound suggestive at all. For more stories of flying dildos, tune in to
Bye.
Bye. Want to stay connected between shows? You can find us on Instagram at WeirdAsFCKPodcast, on Twitter at WeirdAsFuckPod1, on Facebook at WeirdAsFCKPodcast. Send us an email at weirdasfckkpodcast@gmail.com, or come on over to our website at www.weirdasfck.com. There you can check out our blog, pick up some merch, look over our sources, and even share your weird experiences. You might even make it on a future episode. We would love to hear from you. Until then, tune in and keep it weird.